Thank you, Member, and the call is to the member for Reid.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Quite an interesting tirade by the member for Parramatta, of which I will pay the relevance it deserves. I must say that that small business does have, and I rise in support of the member for Ford, and I know the work he does in his electorate and also in support of the minister. Small business now does have a real and passionate voice, and it is around the cabinet table. And the way that the Minister for Small Business and the Cabinet run this process has been, as a new member, revealing and so pleasing, because it is consultative. And as much as the member for Parramatta would like to tell you that they don't have a voice at the table, our job as local members is to be the voice talking to the minister, and we are their voice. And so it's a pleasure to rise. And I would probably change the wording just slightly. Very good, the member for Ford, but they're not only essential, Deputy Chair, they are the backbone of our economy. And we have an employment problem right now, and that will not be solved by government. That will not be solved by big business or unions. It will be solved by this vital part. And what the member for Parramatta failed to mention at any time is, and claimed that we had 6 months and we were a government of talk and no action, was that her results are there for all to see, her government's results. That under the previous Labor government, and I note she didn't address this at all, 412,000 jobs were lost in this sector. And our job is to listen and plug in. What I would like to add to the member for Ford, he spoke, and I won't reiterate all his wonderful points, but I will add the Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister's role in all of this, and our role to feed into him as well. The Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister has been given the role to reduce red tape and regulation. And I note that the member for Parramatta conveniently made reference to March the 26th for me, which is our first omnibus repeal, our registration abolition day, if you like. And the 8,000 pieces that we will abolish that day is not enough. In fact, when you look at it, it's a third of the regulations, or nearly a third of the regulations, that the Labor government put in the previous 6 years at 21,000. But today my role as a backbencher is, as it should always be, to challenge the ministers of the day, the ministers of this government, to do more. And today I want to tell you a story, because it's one thing to talk about red tape, it's another thing to demonstrate what it actually is. I want to tell you about the day that rolled oats became a dangerous chemical. Chemicals in this country come under 3 jurisdictions: the Therapeutic Goods Administration, APVMA and NICNAS. This crosses the ministries of Health, Agriculture and Small Business. If we are to be serious as a government about reducing red tape, we need to look at the role that the departments in all of these play and cross ministerial borders. When you get cost recovery models like we see in the TGA, the APVMA and NICNAS, they don't sit on budgets, they recover the costs, and it is an impost passed on to small business. My challenge today to the ministers of this government is to work together across borders, to consolidate these departments, to have them working consultatively with business. I'll give you the best example. A chemical brought into Australia, if it comes from the US or the UK, has to go through a process which costs around $100,000. When it's already gone through this process in a jurisdiction that I'm sure you would admit is like our own. This same thing happened with NICNAS. A cosmetic company wanted to put out a pack for kids, and as part of that pack, it included a pack of rolled oats. Now, cosmetic companies in this jurisdiction have to, if they are putting out a pack, put everything through NICNAS. Now, NICNAS didn't have a classification for this and wrote the following: "Thank you for your letter regarding the proposed introduction of steamed rolled oats in a children's activity cosmetic toy kit. NICNAS considers that steamed rolled oats does not meet the definition of naturally occurring chemical. Steamed rolled oats will therefore meet the definition of a new industrial chemical," thus ruling out and sending the company elsewhere to try and gain approval. This is an example of how silly red tape and regulation is. This government stands committed through the Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister, reporting directly to the Prime Minister and the wonderful ministers of the Crown. I urge you to get behind small business, which I know they will, and it's an honour to rise again in support of this motion. and stand for small business.